Chapter 2. Unstable in all their ways. Double-mindedness in everyday life. He who wavers is like a wave of the sea, driven and tossed with the wind. Let not that man think that he will receive anything from the Lord. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. James 1:6-8. We all know people, including ourselves, who act at times in polar opposites. The minister who is godly, prayerful, and holy at times yet has periods of sin and perversion. The believer who lives a strong Christian life but has seasons of backsliding. The person who is outgoing and cheerful yet falls into bouts of withdrawal and depression. The person who is hard-working and a perfectionist yet has periods of lethargy and sloppiness. The person who is gentle and kind but has periods of outburst and rage. It is almost as if you are dealing with two people. This is double-mindedness. The Greek phrase for double-minded dipsykos literally means double-souled, from dis, meaning twice, and such, meaning mind. One having two minds is the description of confusion. Confusion is a lack of understanding, uncertainty, a situation of panic, a breakdown of order. Double-mindedness can result in a lifetime of bad relationships. Relationships and covenants require stability. Unstable people will have a difficult time with long-lasting, stable relationships. This affects marriages as well and is the real cause of many divorces. This instability affects families and children, who need stable parents and a stable home environment in which to grow. It affects churches because churches are fellowships that require strong and loving relationships. What is even more tragic is that double-mindedness can affect a person's relationship with God. Let's take a closer look now into how double-mindedness and instability affect every area of our lives. Knowing is half the battle in spiritual warfare and deliverance. How double-mindedness affects our daily lives. Where do wars and fights among you come from? Do they not come from your lusts that war in your body? You lust and do not have, so you kill. You desire to have and cannot obtain. You fight and war, yet you do not have because you do not ask. You ask, and do not receive because you ask amiss, that you may spend it on your passions. You adulterers and adulteresses, do you not know that the friendship with the world is enmity with God? Whoever therefore will be a friend of the world is the enemy of God. Do you think that the scripture says in vain, He yearns jealously for the Spirit that lives in us, but He gives more grace? For this reason it says, God resists the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Therefore submit yourselves to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. Cleanse your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts, you double-minded. Grieve and mourn and weep. Let your laughter be turned to mourning, and your joy to dejection. Humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord, and he will lift you up. James 4:1-10. Reading the full context of how James 4:8 fits into the complete message the Apostle James is trying to convey gives us a better idea of how double-mindedness shows up in our lives. Even when we look like lovers of God on the outside, our passions can be at war within us. James goes on to say that friendship with the world makes a person an enemy of God. That sounds like the last thing anyone would want to be. To be double-minded is to try to be religious and love God, and simultaneously chase after passions in the world. Out of this dichotomy comes things we see in our lives and relationships, from our home lives to public interactions, both small scale to large scale and everything in between. War and fighting. Where do wars and fights among you come from? Do they not come from your lusts that war in your body? James 4:1. Wars and fighting come from lust. Lust is a part of the rejection personality. Lust causes confusion. This is the hurricane of double-mindedness. Worldliness and carnality. You adulterers and adulteresses, do you not know that the friendship with the world is enmity with God? Whoever therefore will be a friend of the world is the enemy of God. James 4:4. The rejection side of the double-minded personality weds a person to the world for love. It is simply Satan's substitute for true love. Double-mindedness breeds worldliness and carnality. The rejection spirit weds a person to the world for love. It is simply Satan's substitute for true love. Worldliness can be seen in teenage rebellion. Teenagers will often get involved in a lifestyle of lust, perversion, drugs, etc. Parents are often at their wits' end. Signs of double-mindedness can be seen in piercings, tattoos, punk dressing, goth dressing, provocative clothing, drug addiction, smoking, running away, fighting, gang activity, profanity, disrespect to authority, alternative lifestyles, depression, suicidal tendencies, and withdrawal.